I am currently on one of the most dangerous overlanding expeditions you can do today. Trans-Africa West Route. Dangerous because of politics, climate, driving, people. Even the police can be dangerous. And do you know how much overlanding experience I have? Zero. Yeah, a couple of nights in the car in Italy, but that's basically it. How all of this will end? Honestly, I don't know. But that is exactly the topic I want to talk about today. The thing that entrepreneurs call can-do attitude. Taking a 4-month expedition through 15 African countries, driving more than 10,000 miles off-road, documenting everything for a major sponsor, and on the side, building an IP-centric business model, all while being a gazillion miles outside my comfort zone. You think that guy will fail miserably. I think, yep, you might be right, but not you are right. There's a slim chance that it might work out. Take your seat as my passenger. Africa trip is the perfect analogy for what I'm about to tell you. When the opportunity came up to join this tour, logic said no. I had a stable business, a real solid income, great clients, a perfect routine. To prepare this trip meant writing a new business case over a weekend, rebuilding a Jeep from scratch, and betting our entire reputation on a project we had zero experience in. To be an entrepreneur is an act of statistical self-destruction. Why don't I just get a job at an insurance company then and work my life away in peace? I'll tell you why. Because I am defective. No, really. We entrepreneurs suffer from a cognitive distortion that allows us to ignore reality just long enough to actually change it. We like to call it vision. Science calls it delusion. Don't shoot the messenger. Those are actually not my words. I am just repeating what Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel Prize winner in behavioral economics, identified. In his groundbreaking work, he called it the optimism bias. He showed that entrepreneurs vastly, and I mean vastly, overestimate their own skill and underestimate the role of luck. They believe they can force order upon pure chaos. As entrepreneurs, we don't just ignore the odds. We actively try to rewrite them in our heads. It's a biological blind spot, actually, that hides the cliff until we are already in midair, to kind of paint a better picture here. And isn't this kind of unsettling? Actually, yes and no. What fascinates me is that I am able to read those studies, write this script, look into this camera, and still be deeply convinced that this bad outcome won't happen to me. It's borderline stupid, I know. But deep inside, I have this almost childlike naivety. A child doesn't know that falling hurts until they hit the ground. This naivety acts as a shield against the paralyzing fear of failure. It is this character trait that says, don't worry, I'll figure it out when I get there. Even when the math says, you're cooked, baby. And I really know what I'm talking about, because we Germans are not the ones being famous for being great entrepreneurs. We are the ones who coined the expression German angst. We treat failure as the end of life, even if it's just being 5 minutes too late. You're on my channel, so I guess you and I, we call it can-do attitude. Kahneman actually called it the engine of capitalism. It's this delusional defect that brought us the car, the iPhone, the internet. Hell, even the guy who invented the wheel must have had a vision of what he wanted to do with a round stove. So is it just golden then? No. Because there's one trap that almost every entrepreneur falls into once in their career. It's called survivorship bias. A short explanation. During the Second World War, the Royal Air Force lost many planes over Germany. So they needed a strategy to cut their losses. They looked at the planes coming back and saw bullet holes in the wings and the tail. So their first conclusion was, let's reinforce those areas. But a mathematician named Abraham Wald stopped them. He was able to read the negative data. The planes with holes in the cockpit and the engines, they didn't come back. So reinforce those areas. Once you know about this, you'll see it everywhere. And this is no coincidence. We are biologically programmed to look at the winners. This again is called prestige bias. In the Stone Age, trial and error was fatal. If you ate the wrong mushroom, you died. So our ancestors survived by doing exactly one thing, copying the survivor. If you ventured into the woods and lost your argument with a bear, you didn't come back to the campfire to warn the tribe about it. The obvious problem, dead men tell no tales. We ignore the losers, not because we are arrogant, but because historically they simply vanished from the data set. So naturally, we look at the winners, Musk, Bezos, the guy on Instagram driving the Lamborghini. And we asked them, what is your key to success? And many will say, you gotta take the risk, you gotta have the can-do attitude. But what we don't see are the thousands and millions of other optimists who started with high hopes, but crashed along the way. Are those losers? Didn't they work hard enough? Didn't they get up early enough? Didn't they have the resilience? No. Simple reason. The world is chaos. We can't control it, even if we believe the opposite. So then, what's the solution? Just become a pessimist? Work for the insurance company? Of course not. If you want to be above average, you need this split personality. You need the radical anarchist to start the engine, to rev it up, to dream big, to ignore the odds, to take the lead. But you also need the paranoid general to fly the plane, to check the fuel, to watch the radar, to armor the cockpit. Keep your optimism protected. It's the only thing that gets you out of bed when things get hard, and they will get hard, I promise. But never mistake your can-do attitude for guarantee. The graveyard of businesses is full of optimists who forgot to bring a parachute. Be radical enough to start. Be smart enough to survive. This expedition is my testing ground. I rely on my delusion to keep going, but I check the bolts on the car every single morning. Well, actually I don't, but I should. If you want to witness firsthand whether I crash and burn or actually make it to the finish line, which is South Africa, subscribe to the channel. I am documenting the entire pivot from freelancer to entrepreneur right here on this track. So see you in the next video. You liked it? I would be really happy if you leave a like. And if you're really generous, why not even drop a comment? Thank you.